Hello and welcome to another video for Yearbook. Today we are gonna be talking about Jaguar, the Minmatar assault frigate. The Jaguar is the best anti-kiter assault frigate and the most controversial assault frigate in even line. Any elite small-scale pilots start twitching when we see Jaguar on grid because this ship will shut down any kiters quite easily. If you don't know, this ship actually used to be completely different, and it was redesigned completely in 2018. And after the redesign, it was practically broken. It was so good that it was almost broken. And approximately 1.5 years later, at the end of 2019, it got a huge nerf to power grid, nerf to CPU, nerf to top speed, and now it has landed in a pretty weird spot. It's still pretty good, but the design of his ship, like the fitting bonuses, are kind of all over the place for the roles that it's trying to do. But we will talk about it a bit later. So if you look at the metagame, in solo PvP, Jaguar is not that popular, which is, I think, pretty explainable. This is a good ship in fleets, where it can be used to shut down some specific fast targets. In solo PvP, it has several limitations, especially after all of its nerfs. But in terms of win rate, it's not that bad at all. The biggest problem, I think, for Jaguar in the current meta is that it competes with the Hawk in both scrum kiting and anti-kiting roles. Let's just quickly cover the differences between the Hawk and the Jag. They both are missile assault frigates, and they both have bonuses to shield boost amount. But the differences are Jaguar has worse range and worse damage, actually significantly worse damage, but it has an application bonus, it has selectable damage, and it's faster. So it kind of balances out, but in some roles Hawk is a bit better, and in some roles Jag is a bit better. So I think that for scrum kiting, Hawk is better because it's really crucial to have better damage and better range in scrum kiting. Jag in scrum range really is lacking both the DPS and in some cases range as well. Hawk can shoot up to 12 to 13 kilometers, and Jag with rage rockets can only shoot up to 8 kilometers, and this is really limiting for a scrum kiting frigate. So I feel like if you want to scrum kite and use ships for this style, it's better to use the Hawk generally. But in kiting roles, I think Jag is quite competitive. I wouldn't call it better than the kiting Hawk, but it's good enough to seriously consider. And of course, in anti-kiting role, Jag is just has no competition at all. This is the best assault frigate for this role specifically. Now, as for the styles, in the majority of situations, you will see Jaguar with rockets, but as I said, you shouldn't really worry about it if you are prepared to fight against Scrum Range Hawk, you will handle scrum range Jag just fine. And in about 30% of fights, Jags have light missiles. The tank is the same as on a Hawk, so this is one of the tankiest ships, one of the tankiest frigates or destroyers in the game. The damage, as I said, is quite poor, and control is quite average. You typically want more tank than control on this ship. This is like a similar trade-off to a Scrum Kiting Hawk. You generally want 2 medium ancillary shield boosters for a Scrum Kiting feat rather than 2 webs and a single medium ancillary shield booster. Okay. As for the performance, I think Jaguar is pretty average. As usual, you can kill Tech 1 destroyers and Tech 1 frigates quite easily. Against Navy destroyers, Scrum Kiting Jaguar is not that great, but Kiting Jag, similarly to Kiting Hawk, can clear them quite easily. Against Navy frigates and against assault frigates, it's a good ship. Against assault frigates, I think Jaguar is even better than Hawk because of selectable damage and a bit better control. Against Navy frigates, I feel like they are a bit, they're quite similar. Hawk has better damage because of bonuses and range, but Jaguar gets better application and better control, so it kind of balances out. Okay, now let's look at the feats. Before we go into the detail, I want to say that Jaguar is actually very flexible even after all of these power grid and CPU nerfs. So in addition to what I will show you, you can also see things like 10MN Jaguar, medium shield booster Jaguar with a cap booster, passive buffer regen Jaguar, and other weird stuff. I will not really go into the detail for these feats. They are quite a bit worse than the baseline feats that I will show you, but you just should keep them in your mind in case you will fight a Jaguar that will behave kind of weirdly. And in this case, you should think about the possible alternatives. Okay, so the most popular feat for the Jaguar is the Scrum Kiting feat. The feat is very similar to the Scrum Kiting Hawk. So you have propulsion module Scrum Web and double medium ancillary shield boosters, rocket launchers in high slots, ADC in low slots, and when you don't really have a CPU to feed ballistics, so you kind of have to fill your low slots with nano or overdrives. The rigs are used to boost damage and plug the resist hole. There is an optimized version of this feat. You can use Storyline Scrum, and in this case you don't need a coprocessor in the low slots, and you can use something like overdrive or a second nano. This will cost you something like 20 to 25 million ISK. So not a huge upgrade, but not a huge price either. Okay, so what are the drawbacks and advantages relative to the Hawk? Let's start with the drawbacks. First is range is pretty poor. Hawk can shoot up to like 12-13 kilometers, 8 kilometers with range is not great for a Scrum Kiter. Sometimes you will need to get closer, sometimes you will need to switch to Navy rockets. None of this can be ideal. When you can't switch from afterburning to macro warp drive because this ship just cannot support it on power grid and CPU. But there are a couple of advantages. So first, you don't need double webs to apply to an afterburning frigate's V for H. because of bonus to application, Jaguar can apply to frigates with a single web, so this is not really a trade-off. You get selectable damage, especially useful against like assault frigate mirrors, and you have slightly better control. That's pretty much it. Another drawback is that your damage is split into 3 different weapon systems, so you need to have good skills for rockets, for drones, and ideally for guns as well, which can be quite annoying. The next feat is the anti-kiting Jaguar. Now I have to say that very likely you will never use this feat because it just doesn't have a place in the meta. When you fly an anti-kiting Jag and any kiter will notice that you have a macro warp drive, they will just leave immediately. Nobody is gonna fight you 1v1 in a kiter in this feat. And if you're not fighting kiters, when you just need a different feat, because this is not gonna work well in scrum kiting situations, or in general in scrum situations. But the feat is very straightforward. You have double web, micro warp drive, some tank, nanos, so very fast, very agile frigate. When you catch your target, turn off your macro warp drive, and when your tank and DPS is sufficient to kill any kiter practically. And the final feat, which is a light missile kiter. In my opinion, this is the meta feat for the Jaguar currently. So if you want to use like Jaguar seriously, this is the way to do it. It is quite similar to light missile Hawk, but it has a couple of advantages and disadvantages as well. So the big advantage is the better application. With light missile Hawk, you can't really fight against frigates at all because their application is just horrible, and you only really are strong against destroyers. So light missile Hawk is a destroyer killer, but light missile Jag can fight both against frigates and destroyers. It's a bit worse against destroyers, but it's much better against frigates. So this is the first advantage. The second advantage is much better cap. So with this one, you are, well, practically unlimited on the capacitor. With the Hawk, it has 2 minutes of cap, and in some situations, it may become a problem, especially when you fight against something like a cruiser that takes like 10 minutes to get killed, and in this case your cap just cannot support these prolonged fights. Now the third advantage is much better speed. The light missile Hawk is on par with the fastest kiters in the game, and you can engage out of position with a lot more confidence. So even if people try to catch you, and if they meet you on the warping, there is still a very good chance that you can escape the scrums. With the Hawk, it's not really as easy. It's still possible, but it's not as easy as on the Jaguar. And you still get the same tank, and you still get damage mitigation with Tracking Disruptor, so the same as on Hawk. Now the disadvantages is that your DPS is quite a bit worse. It's something like 120 versus 150, and 25% of your DPS comes from drones that can be killed. And once the drones are killed, the DPS is just really not that great. So this is the first drawback, and the second is that your range again is not as good as on a Hawk. It's not that big of a problem because you can still work with 31 kilometers. It still covers your entire warp disruptor range. But in some situations where you just want to clear the grid a little bit, of course, with Hawk you get 40 plus, and it gives you more flexibility in this regard. Okay, so this was the review of Jaguar. Even after all of these nerfs, it still has a place in 1v1 meta. If you want like some alternative to the Hawk, this is the ship to look at, I believe, and it is quite competitive. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next videos.